Hello, and welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and I'm a congenital amputee of the right hand. In this show, I will interview other amputees and allow them to tell you their incredible life stories. I'll also feature family members of amputees and others who support the amputee community, all in an effort to discuss the challenges and triumphs of those living with limb loss. So stick around and listen to inspirational stories and find out why we say, We're Not Stumped. Well, hello everyone, welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland, and today I'm very honored. I'm on location in Flagstaff, Arizona with the Hozhoni, did I say that right? Hozhoni
Okay.
Foundation. Yeah. I went over it a couple times, but unfortunately, simple mind doesn't always get it. But I'm so fortunate to be here. I met Michele. I met you at the Northern Arizona Disability Fair.
Yes.
And I was just so impressed with everything you do and reached out, and you were gracious enough to have me on. And I can't wait to have the listeners learn more about your organization. But before we get into that, I think the listeners should learn more about each of you individually. So I'll start with you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Lex Heerding. I'm the COO of the Hozhoni Foundation. Been employed for about 30 years.
Not here, but you've been here. Oh, I'm kidding.
I'm that grown. Yeah.
So I'm Michele Eisenberg, and I manage the employment program for Hozhoni. And we have, I've been here, I actually just passed my 7-year mark. So I'm going on 8 years now. I started senior year 2017. And yeah, we have about 40 to 50 individuals with disabilities that we employ every day. So.
Hi, my name is Antonia Klopstein. I'm the president and CEO. I've been with Hozhoni for 7 years, a little over 7 years, and I recently assumed the CEO position last summer. I have always been in the nonprofit sector, so my beginnings started in behavioral health. I thought I wanted to be a therapist, and my path led me elsewhere, and I'm very grateful for it. Did my switch over to working with adult population, starting with folks in recovery, and I kind of hit a fork in the road, and Hozhoni came up as an opportunity, and I applied, and the rest is history, as they say. And I was, initially coming from working with kids, I was worried because I enjoyed working with kids. There's a lot of things I thought I would miss with that, but I was pleasantly surprised of all of my interactions with the folks that we get to serve here every day, and it's very special. And so for that, I think this is just what I will do for as long as I can. So,
Great place.
My name is Shay. I'm the art manager over here at the gallery. I've been with the company with Hozhoni for about, maybe actually calculating it, pushing 8 years, or I'm at 8 years. I used to be an art instructor for 4 years, and I'm going into my 4th year now, being into this role. When I started, I was just attending school, kind of flip-flopping between degrees, and art was always just something that was always it was always just a big part of my life. And when I got the opportunity to be a teacher here, it was a fun job. I got to just goof off with my clients and create things and help them self-express what they wanted to, and it was like a really fun field for me to kind of do that. On the flip side, now I'm seeing this like a bit more. I'm more like helping out with networking and try to promote the gallery, and also share that same message that we have here. That I was just like, when I started up, I was like, yeah, they have a message, they have a story they want to create, and they want to share it with everybody. So that's what kind of just like led me around here, and I'm very fortunate because it fits my lifestyle, it fits my my creative outlooks as well, and I'm just very fortunate to just have and be in this place right now.
Well, we are actually recording. For the people that are just listening to the podcast, I urge everyone to get onto the YouTube channel, because we're actually sitting in the gallery now. Is that correct?
Yes.
So when you work with the people that create this fantastic art, what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to them?
Oh, so I think just taking a little bit, just coming into when I came on board, seeing it here, it's just like the raw form of creating. There's no teachings, there's no lessons, there's no a lot of the clients and the artists that we have here never took any classes, like formal classes or college classes, or were taught about it in school. They were just they were just gravitating it, maybe whether it was just something that they retained growing up with. And but here, when I came on board, like there's some very talented artists. I'm just like floored with how much they know and how much they're self-taught. And just kind of seeing that, I think like the main thing I see here is that, like, yeah, they have a need to create something. They have a story, or again, it's just something that I can't initially express either, but through my art, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they're here making like, yeah, amazing pieces all the time. And I'm just kind of just there along the ride, but like it gives me perspective as well, and just kind of different areas to see. You know, others would see them as or others might come on and be like, wow, you did this. If you were to meet some of our artists and you were seeing the limitations that they had as we might see as limitations, they just go they just create something.
That's fantastic. As far as like, if you happen to be in Flagstaff, you're open to the public, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And people could come in and buy some of the art. Do you also have an online store? I apologize, I didn't know that coming in.
Unfortunately, we don't. It's probably in the works. It's something maybe in the forecast in the future that we can, get up and running. But we're just kind of like getting the ropes here a little bit.
Well, looking around, there's so many amazing things. Like I said, if you happen to be listening to the podcast, please get on YouTube and take a look, because we're going to do a bunch of highlights of all the beautiful art that's here. It's just amazing. So I want to go to Michele, because I do want to talk about the employment part and what you see and some of the challenges and what you're looking forward to with your responsibilities here at the foundation.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice. I started, when we started, there's several programs with employment. There's one through developmental disabilities, and then there's one through Rehabilitative Services Administration. And they're kind of different programs because one is more one-on-one out in the community with the client, and one is more of a group kind of supported area. And as I've taken over this position, we've actually placed quite a few individuals in the community. One success story that I'm really proud of is we have a gentleman working at Fry's. So Fry's has opened their doors and helped this individual continue to maintain employment. And I think he's been there 2 years now. So I'm just like super excited about that. And it's really nice to see, I think the guys, after they come in, we pay them on Fridays, every other Friday, and they come in, and it's just super exhilarating to see how much they enjoy getting their paychecks. And they're like, hey, I worked for this, And then it allows them to do things like go out to the movies or go on dates or whatever with their friends and different stuff like that. So I think that's very empowering. The biggest challenge for my area is the employers in Flagstaff, because a lot of them don't always understand how to work with individuals with disabilities. But part of our program is working with those employers to help them navigate how to work with an employee when we place them there. So that's one of our biggest challenges.
I do have to say that I know you're a little under the weather, so thank you so much for taking the time. In all seriousness, I should have said that before. I like that you addressed, though, the challenges, and then you're not just leaving them, I guess, flapping in the wind or whatever. That you work with whoever is interested, whoever expresses an interest, to make sure that they're not on an island. You help them understand what it means. Mm-hmm. That's got to be a big thing.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time with Fry's helping with this individual. There's some support services through DDD, as well as rehabilitative services, where we can go in and we kind of act as a liaison between the employee, like what kinds of supports do they need, and then we talk to the supervisor, hey, how can we provide those types of supports for them so they can maintain their employment.
And if there's an organization within Flagstaff that's listening, how do they get a hold of you to see, hey, I'd like to learn more and possibly get involved? I have an email address, Eisenberg, EISENBERG @Hozhoni.com. That's HOZHONI.com. And then my phone number, it's everywhere. So it's 928-600-6275. That's the best way to reach me. Yeah. So. Well, thank you for sharing that. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, too, we do have some employers that work well with us, and we do have some super amazing contracts in town.
Yeah.
With Little America, and then with some like Super 8, Howard Johnson, those types of things. We do housekeeping, we do a lot of lawn work. So we're really looking for some more referrals for lawn crew work because we do go and clean up yards, pine needles, snow removal, things like that, pulling weeds, mostly around here, pine needles because the fire danger and all that. But yeah, anything like that we do. Yeah, and so we do have, who else? We do have the Continental Golf Course that we clean.
Yeah.
Their maintenance area, they have a maintenance area with a break room and stuff. We clean that. So we contract with them. And there are a couple places in town they contract with us to do lawn work, like over by Domino's Pizza on 7th Avenue. We go and clean up their parking lot, and they always tell us how they like seeing the guys out there working and stuff like that. So I always love hearing those stories.
You know what I get out of that too is that sometimes, even for me as a person with one hand, the challenge is people looking at me and then just making an assumption whether I can or can't do something. I think your message is reach out. We'd rather you reach out. If you're not sure whether your workforce can help or not, please reach out.
Yeah.
Let us help you understand, and maybe it can work, maybe it can't. But without that conversation, it's not going to work. So please reach out. And I think that's a great message to have.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Yeah, it would be great to have some new partners and explore what our guys are capable of, because they're capable of a lot of things. And some of them, if you saw them out in the community, you actually wouldn't even know they're disabled.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. So, but they're amazing, and their work ethic is like so awesome. Like they work really hard for their money,
And even, just to add there, statistically, employers can expect higher retaining of staff with our service population, as well as attendance, because it's so, as Michele said, empowering and provides that dignity. But 10 out of 10, anybody who comes through and takes a tour with us, they never leave dissatisfied, because once they make that direct connection with our clientele, I mean, it's very profound, for them. So it's paying for the service, supporting a local nonprofit organization, and at the same time, getting direct contact with who we serve in a way that always gives more to the other person. Our clients give a lot to us, and we just want to connect them with the community. And that will, for itself, do a lot, have a lot of wonders. I mean, it's really impactful.
And you talked about tours, and I know you're big on that, and it's very easy. You make it very accommodating for people to have a tour of your facility. Do you want to describe that and how that process works?
Sure, yeah. So, we can connect, schedule with whomever. I really enjoy giving tours. We give tours, we really look at legislators, community members, really anybody. What that looks like is coming to our administrative office. I like to say we've been inclusive since 1970 because our administrative offices are located where our day program is at. So quite literally, we are interacting and around our clientele every day. So you would come in, I would give you a little bit of briefing of the history of our organization, and then we just go walk the halls and we just chit chat with people. And again, it's those organic relationships that people build on their own. I'm kind of just a facilitator of the connection, and then the rest they do themselves. Our clients love meeting new people. They love sharing what they're doing, what they're working on. And I think in a lot of ways for us, I think the power of that relationship too is to kind of help us see a lot of things that I think we often might take for granted that are so profoundly meaningful for them. So those rich connections happen naturally. We'll go through the day program. We have a large day program here in Flagstaff, and we have also 16 residential group homes. So our day program is comprised of our residential group home clients as well as what we call non-residential. So they might live with other service providers, mom, dad, adult developmental group homes. So we have a different composition of who attends there. Day program is really designed for socialization and habilitation skills as well. So for clients who might not be in the employment program or the art program, it's still a service that's designed for them to have a meaningful day. And so we would go through the day program, and then I always come over here to the art program, and this is where we get to end. And people are usually just blown away. So yeah, anybody, come and take a tour. We're here Monday through Friday. Our program hours are 8:30 to 3:30. And yeah.
Now, you said you started in 1970, so you're going on 54 years right now.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Hozhoni was founded here in Flag in 1970 as an alternative to institutionalization for children with disabilities. So really a lot of the format back then, before there was this expansion of home and community-based services, was institutionalization. There was a big movement between, the Civil Rights Act, the ADA, to deinstitutionalize our service population and give them a better quality of life. We still have clients to this day who were enrolled with the last institution in Arizona. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
And so there was a really big push from the state in a really great way to have these home and community-based services. So I always like to tell people, like, when I say group home, it sounds very, practitioner or, it just sounds really social worky. But what I tell people is, like, this is your typical house in a typical neighborhood. You would not be able to discern that from another home, maybe with the exception of our vans. Yeah. But you can always tell of an end. But, the idea is to really give our clients the same sense of home and belonging that we all are afforded. Mm-hmm. And so, and I also like to share that we have long-term relationships with our clients. So this isn't a service that we're like a high turnaround where we're providing, this certain amount of volume, to X number of folks. Like, we have our clients for life and we serve them for life. And I think that's a hidden part that not a lot of people see. So quite truly, we support our clients through active adulthood, aging, and even their passing, retirement, and even their passing. So to the point where we partner with our community hospices, and they pass in their home. And I just think that's powerful. So you could imagine, like, the relationships that our caregivers have with the clients that they serve. And I mean, for me, I have the highest respect for our direct care staff, who we call direct support professionals, all of our managers, because they're really the ones day in, day out, like, doing the work.
That's amazing.
And if I could jump in, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was going to say the same thing. For the employment sector, we do have specialized they're called job coaches as opposed to direct support professionals, but their job is to teach these guys how to complete a job in a timely manner, and, all these things, social skills, communicating with supervisors, all these things that they have to learn to do in order to be successful in the workplace. And, I was going to say, anybody listening to the podcast, if they want a career, it's also a great place to come and work if you feel the need to help people in that way, which I know, speaking for me, and I think everybody at this table agrees that all of us are very passionate about that aspect of supporting these individuals. So
Very well said. One of the questions I wanted to ask, I got to get to it. So you have been here for 30 years, which is over half the life of the organization.
Yes.
And what are your responsibilities? And I'm gonna do a double barrel question, which I shouldn't do, but I also want to understand some of the changes that you've seen over that time.
I know, good questions. What do I do? A little bit of everything. We have a lot of staff.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of staff interaction, a lot of regulatory things we have to keep in place, keep running. So we make sure that's all done and still have a good quality of life for the clients, make it as, like Tony said, in the homes, make it as home-like as possible.
Well, you perked up quite a bit when they talked about the buses or the vans.
Our vans,
Is that under your purview, though? Is that
a little bit.
A little bit.
It's the vans are big, right? Because you have individual, people use wheelchairs, so you're going to need the big van. Yeah. And over the years, technology's improved, so the vans have gotten smaller, and we finally have one with partnership with the state.
Fantastic.
But our fleet's old, and they're big. So, we pull up to an average neighborhood, and, the home looks great, everything's great, and, here comes this big white van. It's the only thing you really can't hide. Here we are, and it just stands out that it's just a sore thumb for me, that's all.
That makes sense.
But when I started, the vans were Volkswagen buses, stick shift.
Whoa.
Yeah, wow. And so up here in the mountains with the snow, the two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, the heater that never works, the AC was unheard of, right? like our Mesa group home, it's a little bit on a hill. We always had to park down because we could, and it's just a little bit of a hill there, just a little bit. We couldn't do it. Oh, it's just so our transportation's come a long way.
Well, it's great to hear. Yeah. And anything else that comes to mind has come a long way.
Computers, thank God.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, Lex, you started in as a DSP.
Yeah,
right?
I started with
We want to tell them a little
in the
bit.
group homes
Direct
with the
support
clients.
professional.
Direct support professional.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know it was a lot better back then. It was just the rules are good. You have reasons for rules.
Sure.
But back then it was a lot more relaxed. Not everyone was so concerned with bad outcomes and what people were going to do or say. So it was a lot more freedom to do things, and the clients had a lot more freedom also.
Sure.
So it was just, I feel it was a more relaxed, better time, more enjoyable. And over the years, it's just, it gets harder. There's things happen in life and in the world that affect us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but we still have landlines in the phone. We're required to.
Oh, interesting.
So, but back then, before cell phones, that's all there was. So, to get together with another group home or whatever, it was just, no one had iPhones or Androids. Sorry.
Or Android. Yeah. I got a recording on, by the way. Well,
That'll be it.
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, I was going to just jump in. One of the things that we just did, just so everybody on the podcast knows, we some of our clients go home for the holidays, Thanksgiving, they be with their families, but there are some clients that don't have families. And this year our DSPs got together and decided to cook a big Thanksgiving dinner for them, and they had it here at Hozhoni because we have a full facility on the other side with a kitchen and an oven and all that stuff. And even the program managers, they got together and cooked for that as well. So it was a group effort, and I was like, that's so awesome that we're doing that again.
Yeah, yeah. And if I can just add to that, which is beautiful to see, I think that's an important piece to our service as well, and the necessity of it, because we have some clients with families who are very engaged, and it's beautiful to see. And we get to partner with the families and their desires, or, okay, if there's an issue, we can problem solve together, things like that. But we have some clients who have no contact, with families, or one way or another. So it's balancing, of course, having that professional approach with our clientele always, and yet we are the people that they see every single day. And I always try to tell people, like, we're a 24/7, 365-day operation. There is no day off because we have to be there for our clients. So, that's another element I like to highlight in the necessity of this truly, of this population.
Yeah, I've worked in homes where clients have been brought to us from the state right out of the institution, Coolidge, or the Hopi Center, or in other places, and the change you see in the clients today compared to then is incredible. Their lives are better, obviously. And you see the connection with the staff, with the clients with each other. It's really, the quality of life is so much better. That hopefully the funding continues and we can avoid going backwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what that story told me, though? It's just like anything else in life. Sometimes you go to a restaurant and you can tell whether the staff, the manager, the owner cares or not. You just sense it. Mm-hmm. And that story, and by the way, coming in here off the street, I guess, I traveled from the Phoenix area up to Flagstaff, but walking in and having the warm welcome I did, those are the things that tell me that this is an organization that cares for the people. And then hearing the stories. So that's all about the people that are sitting here, and I'm sure the DSPs, that now that I know what they are, and others that are helping the organization. So congratulations to you. But talking about those vans, and but you had mentioned funding. Someone just mentioned funding. So there is a need for the funding, and there are needs still. Regardless of any organization, you're always going to need the funding. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you see.
Yeah, sure. So, I think that nonprofit in general is probably always managing limited resources. And I think that sometimes that's compounded for providers in our industry. So it's not just a Hozhoni issue. This is a statewide issue. So at the administrative level, for example, my job and my role really is to try to usher in a different organizational culture for our people. Because as much as we can invest in our staff, that investment moves over to the clients. and yet we are limited a lot in what we're able to do. Even technological integration, for example. So Hozhoni has done a wonderful job with the processes that they have implemented and created. But we face these challenges of having the financial means and resources to better our internal processes, our administrative functions, so that we can have more time for the things that matter. In the economic landscape, whether that's inflation or different legislative policies going into effect, our expenses have increased. As our controller likes to say, expenses have increased this way and funding has sort of done this. And so we are funded through Medicaid dollars, and there's also a state match question. So I believe that it is also a part of it is dependent on how the state prioritizes funding for our services. And so a lot of provider agencies, we partner with a statewide organization that's called APAD. They're the Arizona Association of Providers for People with Disabilities. Kind of long, but they're essentially a lobbying firm that helps to advocate on our behalf. So the challenge is essentially funding. Yeah. And so providers are having to make difficult decisions in order for the sustainability of the companies in general. So in Flagstaff, we have 16 homes. So that's 16, some mortgages, mostly rents. And so we are grateful because a lot of the landlords that we work with are open to negotiating with us to not have to increase so much. And yet they're kind of tied too, right? So it's this ever evolving increase in expenditures and the funding is not keeping up. And so a lot of what we do is advocate legislatively with our local elected officials. So what I do is I invite these folks into our buildings to do the tours and to simply share what we do and then express our funding challenges in hopes that they will advocate for us when it comes time to the legislative session to happen when the state's creating the budget. So our two big asks are really that that we are trying to work with the legislators and our governor to say, hey, come and look and see what is happening here on the ground, how vital these services are. They're extremely vital. There is no other choice for our clients. And to support funding for us. So last year, our legislative strategy really was to not get cut in funding. There was not an option for an increase. This year, we're hoping to come back to the table to say, to consider our industry, because the service population itself has experienced a growth. So it's not only maintaining funding for the individuals who are already enrolled in the programs, like Arizona Long-Term Care Services, for example, but it is funding the growth that has happened as well and hoping to increase our rate reimbursements so that we can manage the expenses that we have. So that's ask number one. The second ask is we're a qualifying charitable organization for the Arizona State tax credit. Okay. So we're kind of trying to pivot to operate in a way that we're increasing marketing efforts. That's kind of a part of our goal going into the future, to really try to also leverage our community and say, hey, you get the dollar per dollar tax credit for your tax.
477, I believe, 477.
Somewhere around there. I think they recently, changed
just
it.
Close.
And so really considering giving back to your community and controlling your local tax dollars and where those go. So those really are our two asks, because funding's always a thing. We don't always get it right in terms of, how we, what we want to do with our staff, but we try the best that we can. And we're always going back to the whiteboard, to the drawing board when we, I think that what we at least can do well is be transparent and honest. If it's something that we, messed up with or something like that in terms of management, leadership areas, right? But nonetheless, in order to have an effective direct care program, you also need an effective administration. And so sometimes I think there's this notion that administrative overhead is kind of like not as but necessary, but
Yeah.
you need both.
You absolutely need to.
Yeah, and over the years, I've seen it. Jobs have changed. Hozhoni used to have 2 CEOs, one for programs, one for the money. My position consisted of an HR director, residential director, day program director. Yeah, those are gone. There's no money. Wow. Yeah, I mean everybody. Your position. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Shay. Yeah, I mean she does so much. I mean everyone does extra, and I know that's what you do in nonprofit, and you struggle, and you're not supposed to have all this money. But like Tony said, we couldn't even get an increase. Well, inflation has gone up. Our groceries have gone up. We have to feed everyone. We have to transport everyone. We want everyone to have a great quality of life. They want to, trips, just the basic necessities.
Yes.
And it's tighter and tighter. And it's going to get to the point where it's going to pop.
Yeah.
Providers can't keep doing what we're doing.
Yep.
And, Tony's much more elegant about it. But, the governor and the legislators need to really pay attention. Put some money into it. Don't throw money. Put the needed amount of money into the system to make us do what we can do what's best for the client.
I see it 2 different ways too. I mean, like you're talking about your day-to-day basically, and you certainly want to attract the best talent, just like any organization.
Absolutely.
And if people are having to put more is just is subjective, but so much into it, maybe you're not going to start to attract that talent. So that's why it's so important to get what you're talking about nailed down and getting the support. And let's talk about the website. I want to make sure that people can get to it. It's HOZHONI, Hozhoni.com.
Yes.
And the reason why I said that, because there's a place to donate on there.
Yes.
If you think about it though, so some people are in a position to donate, which would be great, and we love you to do that. But if you're not in a position to donate, one thing you can always do is share the story with others. You never know who in your network is able to support great organizations like this. So if nothing else, I urge everyone that listens to this podcast to share the story, share the Facebook, share this organization with your network, share it on LinkedIn. It'd be very much appreciated. So, and as we talk about the challenges moving forward, I wanted to ask Shay, but I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, you're good.
But what are the challenges that you see within your part of the organization?
Oh gosh, I agree because
Where's the list, right?
Yeah, we definitely wear multiple hats, and it's hard because for me, for example, just kind of like running around. We had a very heavy market season, but it was like a lot of it relying on just kind of like where the funding is or where the time's going to come through. Usually it's just going to be me lugging everything, setting up everything, and then just kind of like propping up. And it would be nice to have the extra kind of like the funding to have some extra paid support there for me. Also like to get a little bit more, just kind of like the resources we need to help promote where we are. I had one of our instructors kind of make me chuckle coming up with this term, but like we've become very resourceful, so we kind of like started to trash craft, but like if more outside.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a lot of the things that we do, we look at creative ways to kind of like that would kind of like solve our problems and come up with different solutions in that way. The funding would definitely help, like not eliminate that, so we can kind of bring that energy and time that we put into kind of coming up with like different ways to come up with new strategies, and just kind of focus on our clients and focus on what we do need to kind of like help promote everything that we have going on here. And it would be nice to kind of like just all that extra attention just goes back to them.
Well, as I look around here, it looks like a lot of, obviously it takes supplies to build all this out, and it means so much. So let's flip it around then, unless you have something you wanted to add, please.
Just when I can, because I do also want to share a positive.
That's exactly what
that's our people who award us grants.
Let's talk about that. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Because we could not, the art gallery, the activities we do in day program, the parties we have, which again, someone might say, well, parties, or therapies that we have, these are very meaningful to our clients. These things, this would not be possible at all without our grant funders and our grant makers. So giving a shout out to Creative Flagstaff. So we get a grant from them that helps to fund the supplies and the materials for our gallery. The Arizona Community Foundation is one of our largest funders. We were awarded $65,000 this year, and that is massive for us. And so we're truly grateful to the Forest Highlands Foundation. They also pitch in. We have Cambium Wealth Legacy Strategy that one of the
Yeah, say that.
yeah.
Fantastic.
The Geo Fund. And so these are other local funders that will be a part of the process with the Arizona Community Foundation to help meet our fund ask. And so that funds our therapies. We have yoga therapy, massage therapy, music therapy, all very important things for our day program.
Yeah.
You know, my predecessors did a lot of work on doing a holistic approach to day program. And so that would literally not be possible without this funding. We also have United Way of Northern Arizona and the United Way of Yavapai County. And so that focus is more on our healthcare side of things. So we have a healthcare support aide position. I like to say that helps distinguish Hozhoni because they are medical assistants who are charged with the healthcare, the physical healthcare of our clients, appointments, medications, medication refills, all of their charting. We have a partnership with, they just had a name change, Abracus, I want to say.
They did have an name.
They're a local medical group that actually comes in once a month for both our male clients and our female clients. So they get a lot of the preventative health care screening, blood work, labs, etc. here on site.
Yeah, the PCP comes to us instead of us going to them, which is huge, Tony.
Yes,
and we all know this because we have to load transportation.
Yes.
That's sap time. Who can't make it on time? You know, we're gonna run late sometimes, of course.
Wait
They're gonna
times.
run late. You want to sit in an hour.
Yes.
I mean, they come here. It's amazing what
Yes.
they do.
And we're able to catch a lot more because our population experiences a higher proportion of physical healthcare issues. And so that's made possible. That and covering unfunded medical needs for our clients. So let's say, you know, client Joe used all of their dental care, but they need dentures. And if they don't have the money, then this grant supports that. So both United Ways of Northern Arizona, Yavapai County, Arizona Community Foundation of Flagstaff and Yavapai County, and then Creative Flagstaff. We have a few other corporate partners. Arizona Department of Transportation is what helps us with our fleet. So we are, you know, want to shout out the positive that we've got for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you to all those organizations. That's fantastic. Where I was going to pivot to was some of the success stories you've seen. And I'll open that to the table.
I feel like these guys are.
I'd love to hear that. Whoever wants to take that. Usually I would.
I have
please.
one. I have another one, a separate one from the one I mentioned earlier. But and this is so I started in the HR department actually for 2 years before I transitioned into the employment manager. But we had a client that actually we had a Cottonwood office that doesn't exist anymore. But we had a client that attended down there, and he had some super behavioral challenges, and he ended up moving up here, and we took him into our group home, as well as he was in, we do have a transition to employment section 2 that's teaches more of the soft skills. They don't actually go out and work, but they do go out and volunteer in the community, things like that. So this gentleman was in that program. He had super huge behavioral issues, and I hate to say it, but he was cursing and things that wouldn't be acceptable out in the community. You can't do that, right? So when we took him on, he was a hot mess. But we took him in, took care of him, got his medications all under control and in sync with his body. And he had some sodium issues, all these different things. And we got that all taken care of. And now he's on my work program, and he goes out to work every day and works at the hotel.
Congratulations.
And he doesn't do that stuff anymore. He doesn't go around cursing at everybody, you know. So
that's a great
but I was like,
story.
when I see that, I'm like, our program does work.
Yeah.
It definitely does work.
And could I add something to just the behavior? So our population also experiences, sometimes they have like dual diagnoses or behavioral challenges, which we know behavior is just communication in one form or another. So these guys, all of our staff do a really great job either connecting them with, you know, if they need mental health care services, or just learning to understand like their communication styles. But it's another kudos to our staff and our program managers who work with our clientele, because they experience, you know, behavioral challenges. And I think you'll hear through some of their stories, even some that they've shared with me that are like, wow, to kind of for them to feel that security, safety, and motivation for something that they enjoy sometimes help to kind of like decrease that frequency of behavior even.
That's fantastic. Was there any other stories before I get to the next question? You want to share?
Yeah, I have a story. So I guess coming into, I guess more into or growing into my role, one of the clients here that we had that I used to work with when I was an art teacher, she she had I guess like a tendency for self-harming herself. And working at her homes and kind of like working with her a little bit and kind of seeing the progress that she was making along the way. When she was implemented into our art program, I'm actually very working through it. We like being a DSP and also like being the teacher and being around them so much. You're also like they're like a role model for them, and also kind of like you do develop that attachment and you start to, you're invested in them. You want them to see them thrive, and it's kind of like you have some boundaries that you have in your job field, and also like there's like this moral compass that you're just like you want to be able to help them, because like a lot of people coming into this field, that's a quality that like a lot of us do feel. But she used to self-harm herself. She used to do that. When she came into that art program, she actually picked up wood burning. And she's done a really great job in kind of like talking with her and working with her staff with her. Like she's developed like really great works of art, and we've kind of like, she's never done that. We haven't seen her do anything like that again. And it was really nice to kind of see that she took that form and started to express it on something else rather than herself. Like she started to, tell a story through her wood carvings, and she would really be like, wants to help. Like she'll be hopping on a project. If I asked her to do something with me, she'd be like, yeah. She's always the person that'll come in, say good morning, and like it's really great to see the progress that she's developed and like done. And it's just kind of like seeing that time, and also kind of like creating that space for her that she feels comfortable enough to express herself in that healthy way. So yeah,
that's 180 degrees. So that's amazing, and that's what this organization is about. That's what you're striving for, I would imagine, correct?
Absolutely.
And as you look at, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say I have a story.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Another one too.
I love these stories are incredible. I'd love to hear it.
So we had a gentleman, this is when I was in Prescott, and everyone went through the pandemic and had their own experience with that. And I think that was especially hard on our clients, because you really recognize how much they thrive just on the opportunity for socialization. Like that's so important for them. But we were shut down for so long, and so, one of our clients, he was in an employment program out there, and he was very active. He was able to go to work. He had no problems with mobility, etc. And it was really challenging to see how much he declined a lot during the pandemic, because there was that movement, that socialization just wasn't there at the time. Understandably so. Our clients are more vulnerable having to that illness. But anyway, and so like really kind of help our staff helping him, everybody trying to rally together to identify what he needed to help him like rehabilitate a little bit, because truly like physically he ended up having to utilize a walker. He ended up having to utilize a wheelchair. It was, at the time for everyone started returning to their programs, he wasn't able physically to go back to the employment program. So we were able to put him in our day program. And the staff just worked with him every day, because even cognitively, there was a decline. And it was really hard, to witness. But over that, over time, they managed to work with him each day through physical therapy. I think he had speech therapy, and they were able to get him back to walking mostly independently. I believe he ended up just using like a cane. He was starting to kind of like come back and have conversations with people, and really engage in that way. And so that was a really good like comeback story for that gentleman. And he and he's no longer with us. He was already he was starting to age, but he was able to have quality of life again before his passing. So that was awesome.
So we had a gentleman in our area that had he had a mom that was still alive, an elderly mom. She was in a nursing home. We used to take him to go visit her. And unfortunately, she had passed away. And then like a month, then this was all kind of right during COVID too. And then about a month later, his brother was his guardian, and his guardian passed away as well. And it takes a village, right, to help these people. But I advocated for him to get some therapy over at the Guidance Center, which we do contract with them too. Like they do a lot of help with us. They're across the street. They handle most of our mental health stuff with our clients. But I advocated, and he got therapy to help him get through that time and that transition time in his life. And I think that really helped him.
Oh, I can't imagine the opposite of that. That would have been very hard for him to go to both of those.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And did you have a story you want?
Oh, probably 50 of them.
Which is great.
You know, I just thought of this. When we started serving a client 4 years ago from another provider who closed down for various reasons, and she was brought to us, and we said, of course, we can take her, we can meet her needs. And she started out nonverbal, on medication for depression, just not having a good quality of life. And then through our staff, who thought she could do more, brought it to our attention and really pushed to other doctors, psychiatrists, and supervisors too, to just help her change. And we moved her living to a different group home and changed her meds, and now she's just flourished. She smiles, she's loud, she talks. Just this wonderful experience where her quality of life, basically it's like our tagline, dignity through opportunity.
Yes.
Well, that tagline
It's a fantastic, and it's true. All these clients are wonderful people. They have wonderful stories and experiences in life that we could all learn from, just like they can learn from us. I went to junior high and high school, some of the clients, and just to see the change in them, and probably the change in me too.
Sure.
And see the growth and the opportunities they have now that they didn't used to have. Yeah. It's a good life. We try to do the best we can. And everybody from DSPs up to the CEO, to our medical personnel, our HE person, or even our finance department, our accounting department.
Yes.
Great people who, they're not just pushing numbers and telling us not to do this and that. They really do. You can see it. They care about the clients. They want what's best for them.
I felt it coming in. I said it once and I'll say it again. I felt it coming in here, the warmth that everyone had. So, did you want to share a quick story too? I know you.
Oh, yeah. I actually.
Another quick story, I should say. But
Yeah. I guess like something that we implemented this past year with the art program, we get to go, and this is exciting for me because like I was able to kind of share a little bit of like my background and knowledge of getting them into national parks this year. So we actually were able to take them to this past year. We went to Zion, Bryce Canyon, and as well as we even pushed further going to Yellowstone this past year. And we just brought along some clients. It's a funny story, but the stress and everything else, like on
maybe
that
a different
trip,
type of podcast.
Yeah, but it made it so worth it though. We got to see our clients set them up in front of some geysers and got them kind of see them going around and do some drives. And I was just like, I was stressed out on that trip, but like to see them kind of do that, I'm like, holy crap. Okay, sorry, but it was really worth it to kind of see it. And that was like kind of like just my upbeat thing of bringing it back in. I'm like, okay, yeah, like it was stressful, but like I'm really glad they got to enjoy this. I'm really glad they got to go somewhere they haven't gone before, and it was really fun because like we moving forward like this trip, I'm hoping that they just to get to experience it more and kind of see something more recreational therapy wise. It was kind of nice for them to kind of experience, and also for me to kind of find this nice like humbling moment through it. I'm like, this is great.
I can see where you're stressed.
Fun.
Again, but how neat was that? I mean, and that enabling people to do something they may not have been able to do otherwise. That's cool. That's huge. And challenge for opportunity. What was your tagline again?
Dignity through opportunity.
Dignity through opportunity.
Yeah.
That's exemplified right there.
And she took a group that would definitely not typically have access to those things. So we're talking like total care clients, wheelchair clients, like they picked a really solid group to go with, and they maneuvered that well.
Gotta feel good.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good experience because I'm just sitting there sappy, like stressed out, and then they're like, "Whoa, look at these buffalo! Whoa, look at this bear!" I'm like, "This is where you think."
Yes. Wow, what a great story. As you look forward
Yes.
in the future of your organization, certainly I know one thing. In October, you have a golf tournament
Yes.
that I'm gonna play in come in October. So
Yes.
we talk more about that, but I want to talk about like what do you see in the future? I'll start with you, Tony. What do you see in the future, and what are you looking for? I know you're doing the golf tournament, but I'm sure there's other things.
Oh yeah, my vision for Hozhoni is a thriving organization where people love to come to work, because I feel like if I can pour into that layer, it'll be an automatic, like I said, investment into our clientele. So I want to really raise up other leaders. There's a lot of internal stuff we're working on right now to really kind of shift our organizational culture. I'm really big on that. That's kind of how I get to like nerd out. But I love trying to give like our folks opportunity to work on their skills and the stuff that they want to do personally and professionally. So for me, it's really just, I'm looking forward to, a thriving organization where we have solid communication. We won't always get it right, but we work on it. And, I genuinely love the people who work here, like all my staff. Like there's times where we have our frustrations or we have things that, I dropped the ball. No.
Wasn't me. Or you.
But I think
It was me.
But I think that I truly believe, like, if you just care enough about the people that you work with, hear them out, build that rapport, with them, most people just want to be heard and understood. So I kind of feel like if I can help bridge that with folks and we can really increase our communication with one another and work on the things and, and understand that like we're all going to make mistakes. That's how we grow, through like failure and mistakes, and that being a part of our culture at times too. That's what I look forward to, really help raising other leaders within our administrative layer. And then looking forward to, Shay and I talk about these random ideas all the time. Plus Michele as well. Lex, the poor guy, is just a sounding board because we're like going all over. We look forward to a stronger media presence. A vision for art is even extending it into digital art media.
Wow.
Creating something that we always had this idea of like a partnership between art and employment, where we're kind of creating like a teaching marketing skills, digital, social media marketing. Wow. And so that's really what we see. So tapping into more of like our younger folks transitioning into adulthood, being able to kind of create a bridge for them there and serve those guys too. So we've got a lot of ideas and such.
A strong future is looking bright. And if anyone wants to learn more, Hozhoni.com.
Yes.
And I'll say something else too. I know that Flagstaff is a great area for in the summer. A lot of people from the valley come up, right? Because it's hot in the valley, but they come from all over the place. Certainly in the winter, people from all over the country come to ski. Take some time to come visit this facility, because they're so gracious and welcoming, like they were to me, and learn more about this organization. It's fantastic. Reach out to them when needed. Thank you all for taking the time to be on the We're Not Stumped podcast. It's much appreciated. I really enjoyed myself. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We're just really happy to be able to share my story.
Yes.
Stop by, visit us.
I will always stop by when I'm up there. There's no question. Matter of fact, I said I was going to help, maybe come up just to help with bowling one night. So I'd love to do that.
That would be great. Yeah, you can.
And the golf tournament.
Oh, the golf
And
for
the
sure.
golf tournament in October, our annual fundraiser.
That's right.
Yes,
It's a biggie.
Everyone needs to sign up for that.
Yeah.
And we need everyone to sign up for it now. We don't wait till October. It's going to sell out. I don't know if it sells out, but as far as they're concerned, it sells.
It actually
Good.
has sold out.
We did probably one of the times we're
Stop it now.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We appreciate it.
That was the We're Not Stumped podcast, hosted by Mike Bolland. If you want to be a guest on the program, reach out to Mike at his email address, mike@mikeboland.com. This podcast is produced by One Hand Man Productions. If you are looking to start your podcast, go to onehandmanproductions.com.